All right. We are going to go live in five, four, three, two, one. Welcome back, everyone. We are doing our seventh podcast here. We will be talking about the subject of fatherhood and how amazing it is, as well as the ups and downs of it. Today, I have a special guest. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, hey, what's going on, guys? It's Necro. Nice to meet you.
Uh,
Father of two, married.
So I can never fathom how to be a father. Like I know that it must not have been a easy learning curve for you while you were like having the whole excitement and the fear and stuff, especially since you got two girls. So like how did you feel when you first found out you was gonna be a father?
How I feel? I mean, it's like an all-encompassing feeling. You know what I mean? Fatherhood takes time.
Like did you run into any like major problems, especially when learning how to be a father?
Of course not. I mean, of course. I mean, when I say of course not, of course. I mean, like there are things like your life's no longer about you. You have somebody else to care for, and it's like everybody has pets and things like that. But um, I would say the most important part is knowing that you no longer come first. I mean, you have pet, yeah, you take care of pet, but it's so much on a greater scale when you have kids.
Like in the West Indian saying, they usually go, if you have a girl, that means that you had a lot of female interest. But if you have two girls, you were a dirty whore. Were you a dirty whore as a kid?
I mean, I've been around. I'm not gonna say,
Have you?
but I don't always call myself a dirty whore. That's,
No, I'm only lightly saying dirty whore just because of the phrase itself. But nah, that two girls, man, and they're doing good.
yeah. I have two girls, Gabby and Isabella.
Oh man, so I know you definitely have to feel very proud to be a pops. So like any like good memories that you had like when you were raising your daughters.
Oh, I just lost my set. Sorry, I'm playing Street Fighter, but yeah, I was in the set, but say the question again.
Yeah, like there's always ups and downs. So we'll start with the ups. Like you can recount any like really good memories
All
of
right.
yeah.
So I'm in the military, right? So I wasn't there for my first kid, and that like was kind of hard because I left my wife when she was 5 months pregnant. I came back, daughter was 3 months old. So I missed a whole big chunk in the beginning. You know, the birth, like her coming out the womb, cutting the umbilical cord, just not being there for my wife and my family. And I felt certain type of way about it. But damn it, this guy's killing me.
But
Let's stop doing this. All right. Yeah, I cannot multitask, but it was hard because I couldn't get. I was in Africa at the time. I couldn't see her. I didn't. It was cost $2,000 to get back home, and I'm not paying for that. I just had a kid. Like,
so like I'm assuming that while you were overseas, you were doing that video conference and then constantly talking. Like how was that experience compared to when you first finally get to hold your girl? At least your
I
first
mean,
one.
I came off the boat, and the first thing got it. So, so when I actually flew back early, but I feel like it's an early bird thing where like they let people go home, like new fathers and stuff. They go home like 2 3 weeks before the actual ship came back.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it actually fucking let me get off at this set. So
I,
oh,
I could have definitely delayed this uh, 10, 15 minutes if you needed to.
nah, it's fine.
So I guess while he is finishing his set, pretty much here's some statistics about fathers and their children's lives. Contrary to popular belief, a poll was taken in 2017 about how many fathers are actually heavily involved in their child's life, and it shows at the top of the list, according to New York State, and I'm saying specifically New York because I haven't looked up anything outside of it. But specifically in New York, black fathers are the most involved, and even though you hear the term black dad, it is not widely used in New York City. So according to the New York Census, um, the highest fathers that stay in their child's lives and is very active are black fathers, then followed by Spanish, Indian, and at the bottom it'll be Caucasian.
Well, because like a lot of them have they have you have like a lot of them have busy lifestyles. I want to say I don't want to go like a lot of them have like they work a lot most often because they have the privilege to work a lot. Um, and their job is like they might have a lawyer who works around the clock. You might have things, but it's not saying black people don't have things that work 3 4 jobs, but they're working 3 4 jobs for the kids more so. They more tend Caucasians most have a tendency to have careers more so than black people do. Or we have jobs, and you know the difference between careers and jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So they can afford to hire like a nanny, like or somebody else. It's common for them to have a nanny. Common to have like somebody who would take care of the kids from like that young stage or whatever. And like I didn't have a nanny when I was growing up. I had a babysitter like watching me while we were at job sometimes. But if I was with my mom, once I got old enough like to be able to know how to lock the door and not answer the door to somebody like that, I was home at 8 years old. And like a lot of people of different ethnicities probably wouldn't do that. So they have nannies like that. So they are not really a part of their child's lives because they're so busy with work. And that's kind of common lifestyle. And, I mean, work is not an excuse. You should be part of your child's life, but I can say that is probably why. Minority people, some black families don't have jobs. They're on welfare. So they're around all the time. You know?
Oh, actually, even if you want to use percentage, we're not the most people on welfare. So just for like a
No, no, that's around the country. But in urban areas, yes, we are. Like in New York City, yes, we are. Like minorities are, but like we're talking about like Texas and um, Nebraska and all them places like that, places was predominantly white, there are obviously going to be people on welfare. And if it's like Idaho and shit like that, there's not a lot of black people in Idaho. I don't think so.
yeah, there
And
actually
but the
isn't.
people on welfare there, so it's going to be there more of us than them. So obviously they're going to be more people of them than on welfare than us.
Oh no. I mean that at rate. I'm not even talking about the amount of people. I'm talking about percentage. So like yeah, when you talk about the percentage of people on welfare, white versus black, there's more white people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm saying I'm not saying as it like because they outnumber us generally because let's see, black people were moving up. About 5 years ago, we were about 13. Now we're about 17, 18% of the country. Hispanic people are currently sitting at 22. So we're roughly what 39% of the country.
Really?
Yeah. Our the reasons for that is most likely because not even most likely, Caucasian millennials are not reproducing as fast. Also, there's an epidemic across the world. It seems that you know certain races can't populate as fast, and if they populate with anything else, that child is like a minority for the most part. So um, those numbers, those statistics is showing that they're not reproducing. Now, it's not just because they have a biological problem. Sometimes they just don't have the money because a job, like a minimum wage job or even a job you've been at for like 3, 4 years, literally can't support where you live at, depending where you live at. So children, people are like, I'm not gonna bring a child in this world. I can barely afford to like take care of myself. So that's the reason why the drop rate. But that those numbers don't heavily affect most minorities, especially Chinese and Hispanics. Black people, we reproduce, but we're having higher rates of reproducing with every other ethnicity.
Yeah, we are
So
mixed babies. I got two mixed babies.
yeah, there's a lot of mixed babies. They're almost a quote unquote fad. And I don't want to say it like that because having a child is nothing to snark at. Like, just treat it like as a minor situation. It's not, but it seems that in American culture right now, shit, even across the world, having mixed children is a good thing. I'm pretty sure you've heard the phrase "mixed babies are the cutest." So like
Yes,
it's
dogs are adorable.
yeah, they have the qualities of both parents, and both parents have different diverse qualities. So it brings out unique qualities that people don't see all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so pretty much, when you had your girls, right? Especially your second one. Like, were you surprised that you were gonna have a girl again?
Yes, I wanted a boy, but it is what it is. Can't really. It's my fault, not hers.
Why is that?
Because you don't know why. It's my fault that we have girls. Like girls have XX chromosome, guys have XY. So the guys don't decide who the sex of the baby.
Hmm.
You know that?
No, I'm familiar with chromosomes. It's just like I didn't hear the percentage of why you would have a higher chance of having girls over boys.
I mean, I don't know if you have a high chance. It's that girls. That's another science thing because girls survive better in the womb. Guys,
Well, yeah, women are more durable when it comes to temperatures as well as pain. So
yeah,
yeah, I would definitely think that they're a little bit stronger than we are.
yeah. Girls' sperm are technically strong, a lot stronger than guys' sperm. That's like they're a lot stronger, probably. Too. Doesn't like emotionally. This is weird. This is weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. The reason why I've always felt that women definitely had a higher like mental durability than guys, you know, um, I'm not saying all women. I'm not even gonna make it a broad blanket statement, but if a guy cheats, there's a chance that a woman would take her back. A woman would take him back. But if a girl cheats, like, and the guy was like, not a, cheating or anything or cause for that, there's a much lower chance that they'll take him back. Is the mental fortitude of hanging in there for things that you really want, men versus women. Women have that adjustment. Not saying that men can't do it too, or I'm not even making a general blanket statement based on how men think. I'm not, but generally men are not as forgiving. It takes a lot of like mental strength for a person to forgive another person and not take it too lightly. So when it comes to that, then yeah, definitely. Um, I don't know. I feel like being a dad is so unappreciated. Like, I'm not saying that your kids don't appreciate you or the wife don't unappreciate you, but that unappreciate, that sounds so terrible. Doesn't appreciate you, but like do you ever feel like unappreciated?
My wife actually does. My wife's pretty good at so I'm appreciated in the house, but I know that is the case sometimes where a guy will work a couple jobs, wake up, and barely see his kids. Kids will be like, "Oh, you're never around," blah blah blah. But like, yeah, he's never around, but like the reason why he's never around is because he's making money. Like making sure you have a roof on your head, like making sure that you have clothes, food, and necessity. And that technically that's kind of a man's job, and it's been that way for a long time. And that's the role that's kind of been defined for a guy to go ahead and fulfill.
Well, it's definitely not easy in this day and age. Raising kids as well as supporting the household with the amount of money that you make. There was a time where a person could be making $16 an hour, and a couple years back, I don't want to say a couple, like more than 30 years back, and they'll be making $16 an hour, and not only is the family living good, but they're almost considered like above middle class, like upper middle class. That's not the case, and so fathers have to invest more time working different jobs just to make up the difference of the cost of living. Because the living wage currently right now is, I think, $28 an
Mm,
hour. Like, you know how ridiculous that sounds? Like, there's people that make that and they probably don't think too much of it, but for the most part, you have to be making $28 an hour to support a household, a wife, a house, and a child.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, and this is under the assumption that you are working solo. If you have a partner and y'all are both working minimum wage jobs, you still need one more person to bring in a minimum wage income, two more people to so regardless of how you're looking at it, if a father is going to be the sole provider, he's working about 2 to 3 jobs. And I don't want to make it seem like, oh, the only thing you could get is a minimum wage job, but I'm saying this based off how minimum wage was working previous to 30 years ago. So like, you have to put far more effort into getting money for to support your household. Like $28, like I'm laughing at that right now. Like $28. I don't even know like six people, like personally know six people that makes $28 an hour. And that's in this, that's for the statement of a New Yorker.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not talking about anywhere else. Like, if you went to New Jersey, which is cheaper, if you went to Philadelphia, North Carolina, South Carolina, you really need to be on your stuff. Now, according to the 2017 census, when it comes to states and the amount of money that you have to make per month, New York is in the top five. California is also in the top five, but just specifically for New York, and I will give another reference to North and South Carolina. For you to live a comfortable life, and like a decently comfortable life in New York, a month you have to bring $7,000 in. So if you're not making $7,000 a month solo, like, or even collectively, you can't live a comfortable life in that state. Now, as to North and South Carolina, you need to be making about $3,000 a month. I like the drastic 4K difference is nothing to snark at. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
crazy.
it's more than crazy, because like, we're talking about people's lives, and yet people can't make a decent living wage for them to support their family. So I don't know. I really feel that in time, like more fathers wouldn't have to work so hard, so they could have a bigger role in their children's lives. Because as it is now, it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like, you work long hours, mom work long hours, and there's somebody else to watch the kids, but you're doing it for the kids, so shouldn't you be able to spend more time with them?
Yeah, this is true.
So like, it's a little crazy, but I don't know. I can't say that being a father is like easy. You ever ran into any hardships?
I mean, the hardest thing I think for my father is knowing the right approach to take a certain thing to do. Like learning from the differences, your parents, how we all seen the bad things about our parents, right?
Of
Trying to alleviate that, but take the good things they did and then take the bad things. not try to do the bad things I did. No, I beat my kids. And so I believe that like a lot of times when I wanted to cut school as a kid, I want to do something wrong, I wouldn't worry about cutting school. That was like that was second. That was second. It was more about the ass when I get my mom found out. Or if I misbehave in school, it was more about the ass whooping I would get if she found out. And like a lot of kids today, they don't have that. They don't have like they don't care because there's really no repercussion. Like I didn't really care about if you took my game away. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really care about getting grounded or anything like that. I was an inside body anyway. I was
Mm-hmm.
always inside. I didn't go outside and shit like that. I didn't care if you took shit away. I was more afraid of the ass whooping. I don't know, but that's just me. And I feel like it works better. But I'm not saying to abuse it, of course, but I say like putting hand to ass is definitely something that's needed for certain kids. It doesn't work on everyone, but for the more Meridian turn, corporal punishment does work on. It's like kind of a catch-all, I think. You know,
Um,
um,
good.
my kids don't listen. They don't. Kids do not listen.
I mean, the kids.
Yeah, yeah, and that and that's true. They're kids, and that's by definition they are hard-headed. And
Yeah.
like a lot of times they don't you don't like you don't they don't understand why they can't do something, so you have to go over with them over it. And it's like a lot of times having patience. You know what I mean? Having patience is like key to being a good parent. You know what I mean? Like having patience, my mom would say if you can't listen, you're gonna feel. But a lot of times, like a lot of different approaches can be taken. Like I do both. I do a mixture of both. I corporal punishment, when I've talked a bunch of times and I just have no more time to talk. Because you can talk to you blue in your face and then nobody they won't say anything. And then there's times where I just go stand in the corner or go do this. And like if you have a good balance between the two of punishment, then it works. And there's some people who don't beat the kids at all, and they're fine. There's some people who beat the kids and they're not fine. So you just have to find a good balance. Find the balance. I think is key to good parenthood, because you have to draw the line. If you don't draw the line with your kids, then who's gonna train them? Who teaches them life skills? Like it's you. Like it's you. You gotta teach your kids. You gotta It's like any. A lot of time people do their work over their kids, but your kids are a project in themselves. Like I mean, you are the defining factor. Things they learn on, things they say, things they do, it comes from you. So that type of character you have, type of person you have, it imposes on them. It's like if you're molding like a pottery or anything like that, you're molding a child. You're molding a child's mind. You're molding his beliefs, his his indifferences, his things. That's why I say like racism isn't breed from somebody. No, kids don't wake up and grow up racist. They play with any kid. I'm saying it's the parents are putting that kind of top of it. The
Well,
parents are
yeah.
putting their belief on top of it.
Yeah, because racism is taught. It's you could put two young children in a pen with each other, or any multitude of different kinds of ethnicities of children in a small
They'll
area.
find a way to play with each other, even if they can't understand. They'll find a way to play.
Yeah,
I
pretty
mean,
much. Even if initially told not to do so, part of the hard headedness. But like yeah, they're not innately like racist. They're not born to hate. They're not born to even discern a difference between us because technically outside of our skin pigmentation, there's nothing different about us. I'm sorry that and one black people are 1% more physically dominant than every other ethnicity. Other than that, we're
we were
totally.
bred for that, huh? We were kind of bred for that. I'm not gonna lie to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, I'm not talking about Black Americans. I'm just talking about African Americans in total. Like,
No, the African American is way stronger than the natural African because we were bred for that. I mean, and because of malnourishment of African, but just by kind of thing, they are stronger than because in our genes we're bred to be strong.
I feel like I don't have enough information to argue that, but I'll definitely take your word on it right now. Firstly, usually, especially when I'm about to do a podcast, I do an insane amount of research about anything that comes out of my mouth.
You should.
Yeah,
But a podcast is about opinions as well, so
I
that's
mean, I like opinions are important, but like if somebody says, "Hey, the sky is like green," then fuck your opinion. That's
it's
wrong.
kind of the
Yeah, like in my opinion, I think the sky is green. And if somebody told me that and I looked outside and the sky is blue, I would tell them that they are
I mean,
wrong.
they could argue from hunting tigers and tigers and bears and stuff like that. Like that's why we are stronger. But any race had to hunt.
Yeah,
Most They say that we're more after athletics, but in the running and stuff like that, that's because Africans don't have cars, so they have to walk it.
It's funny that you say that. There's only out of the 40 out of the 48 countries in Africa, only like 12 of them is actually impoverished. Like, don't believe the general media. There is
You're
countries
talking
in.
about the ones the ones who got imperialized. Most of the ones that got imperialized by Britain and all these other that's why they're impoverished. They got left, and then probably after they try to they pillage it for all its natural resources. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but the entire continent is not poor. I would
No, of
say
course not.
I'll say less than like 15% of the countries are actually poor, and those are
Too much of it is poor though. I would say that. Say that.
there's areas that have poorness, but it's not as wide as the media makes it. Like there's parts in Africa that's far more technology advanced than New York, and I'm using New York as an example not because I live here, but we get everything first. When it comes to America, it comes through Cali and it comes through New York, and then it spreads everywhere else. And when it comes to ingenuity and stuff, most of the people live in. I'm sorry, come here. Yeah. When it comes to like ingenuity and engineering, we have some of our best technical, as in computer, in New York. Then you have cultural, not cultural, agriculture. That is currently in the Midwest, and on the far West Coast, you have garbage. But like outside of that, we make strides, but in Africa they actually have quite a bit of different technological advancements. So it's not just like, oh, every commercial you see is like, oh, there's people starving in Africa. Stop using Africa, the entire continent. You could say a certain country in Africa. Sorry, excuse me. A certain country in Africa where that would be appropriate. But realistically, um, you can't. There's so much on how Africa has changed, especially over these last 10 years. Um, and I know we're swinging a little too far away from parenthood. So coming back to parenthood itself, I think that people that uh, physically discipline their children actually is doing the right thing. I can't stress that enough because a lot of people don't want to take that step. You know, there's people that don't want to hit their kids, and I feel like if your child, after being verbally talked to, like as in a warning or something like that, they're not listening, they need to be to the next step. You know, then you do your official grounding where you take away their privileges, games, or whatever makes them happy. But if that is not working, you need to physically discipline your child. Like you said earlier, there has to be some kind of consequence because taking away some people's stuff don't always work. But if you can feel pain, the equivalent to knowing that you did something wrong, that fear will prevent you from doing that. And as you grow older, you that will help you to build maturity, and that maturity allows you to be like a productive adult. But people need that fear. If you always have that, like, oh, I can do whatever I want, those are the type of people that will tend to get in trouble that they can't handle. Like it's a little dangerous, but I feel like we need that physical discipline in their lives. Like when my mom used to talk to me, uh even my dad too, to a very small degree, he used to talk to me, but it would be like, all right, you ain't gonna listen. Well, I'm gonna have to whip your ass, and then I would be more afraid to make a wrong step because I know the ass whooping's coming. But if you like punish me like normally, I'll be a little sad or whatever the case is. But this is when I was like discovering books, like that books were cool. So I'm like, you're gonna make me read? Cool. And
Yeah.
so it's like, all right, I'm down, man. And it's not like my family was rich anyway, so like I didn't really have a whole bunch of game systems. That came later. So I was just like, all right, I got books, let's get it. And that's where I would usually do my thing. I don't feel there's any repercussions. Um, like as a father, right? Do you feel any kind of way like if because it might get a little touchy. You don't mind me asking you touchy questions, right?
No, go ahead.
If either or both of your daughters grow up non-heterosexual, like would that affect the way that you treat them?
No, care less.
All right. Um, that's actually a really good answer. Hopefully, it's not one of those showcase answers. Like, yeah, I have no problem with that, and the camera goes off. Like, like I hope that's not the case, but I'm pretty sure you're not like that anyway. If like, do you have any like set goals? Because there's parents that want their child to be something like very specific. Like,
No, I don't care what they want to do. Do whatever they want.
as long as they're productive, or like,
Yeah, yeah. As long as they're productive in their life, they're happy. It's fine. I mean, obviously, you don't want your kid to be a stripper. Keep them off the pole. Keep the pole. You got one goal in life. Keep the pole. Not stripper, any stripper or uh, or prostitution, of course. But most part, I don't care what they do. As long as it's moral, whatever, doing is morally correct. Fine with that. In in an average society, some people more very different. Another, but you really care less about daughters. Like you pave the way for your kids to follow their dreams. That's your goal. Ultimate goal as a parent. You help them survive. You keep them off. Make sure they're not around the bad crowd, getting influenced by bad things. Live their life. Try not to have kids early before they see their dreams. Not about their own dreams, but you shouldn't oh, you can be this, you can be that. You can't be. You do whatever you want. As long as it makes you happy. You want to be a skydiver? Go ahead. Yes, so that's what you. I won't call you smart, but it's what it is. What it is. At the end of the day, it's in your heart.
now, quick question: if they became either or both became a stripper, like I know that
I'll be very, very heartbroken. Honestly, to tell you the truth. So I think that is, that is not a path that really leads to a lot of good things or good.
um
Yeah,
I have to tell you this. I'm not gonna disclose her name, but I met a stripper. Like, and I knew her for a little while as a stripper before she finally hunkered down. She now works as an executive in a law firm.
yeah, that's fine. They can pay for law school, right? That's her path. But I'm trying to make it so that she don't have to do that in order to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Uh,
you should foster your kids' dreams. Make sure they can follow their dreams without having to compromise themselves. Because it's a compromise. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's what you want to say. Stripping compromise a personal and a private part of you. You shouldn't probably share with somebody outside the person you love or you're intimate with. But being intimate, you're no longer intimate. That's for everybody at a paid price. See, and that's not really moral. So that's my belief.
I'm glad that you said that. I'm pretty sure that there's some fathers out there that if their daughters like hit the pole, I hate using the phrase like that, but if they turn out to be a stripper for any such reason, they kind of like disown them.
Yeah, well, that's a failure on them. Like if your daughter becomes a stripper, like it's something you fail somewhere. You fail somewhere. I mean, like it's your child, and like a lot of kids sometimes you wash your hands of them because of certain they're hard headed, they don't listen. But you can say you tried your best, and they still can't get it. And, they just want to do their own thing. Then let them do their own thing. And I can't you make your kids, but you don't make their minds. And you can't control them. But you can only impart on them the reflections and the experiences you've been through, so they don't have to follow down the same road. Like I never had to strip. I never had to go somewhere. So why should you? You know what I mean? What did you do to make you feel like you had to do that? Whether it be a drugs or addiction or something like that, or you're get them if they're mentally sometimes ill, they having whatever problems. Nobody's here saying I want to strip, or they have like a mentality like like my dad a long time ago imparted into me like nothing, like stripping's easy. That's like I said, it's easy to get money. That's why they do it. My dad told me that nothing easy is ever good, and nothing good is ever easy. You know what I mean? So like if even if like something's hard and like you're making less money, but you're like you're not compromising yourself, as I said before, it's something that's respectable. You know what I mean? Because stripping is not respectable. You say what you want to say, like stripping is not respectable in this society, and like like no one's kid should have to do something not respectable to make it ends meet. Well, but that's the society we live in where people have to sell drugs. People had to like do things that are not respectable in order to live, and I don't knock them for that. You know what I mean? That is that is their process. They didn't have a choice, but like my thing is that as a parent, you give your child a choice not to do something like that, and that's like that should be your end goal. Like your child don't have to compromise themselves in order to fulfill their dream. And they don't have to like you put. I mean, you have to put a love of yourself, like because at some point, like you're compromising yourself where it says like you lose a lot of love for yourself when you strip. There's nobody that said that it's not a psychological take a psychological toll and do that, or when you like so prostitution, so moral or you're porn. You're a compromised part of yourself. You can tell yourself, oh, I know it's fine to me, like I don't care. I'm the person like I'm open, like but no, no. There are some parts of you that you'll never get back. Especially the end with the internet, like you'll never get back. You'll be in that money shot forever. Man, no matter if you become a lawyer, no matter if you become whatever, you'll have those memories and they'll stay. And not every night is gonna be great. You're gonna have fun some nights. You might you might come numb to the pain or numb to it after a while. But at the beginning, that psychological toll you're telling yourself, you numb yourself pain because your body reacted to the pain of you like you numbing yourself is like you like becoming stronger than the pain. You can say that I'm strong because I did this, but parents shouldn't, you have to go through that process if your parents tried their best to, and you yourself as a child tried your best to adhere to your parents' advice. I mean, my mom put a lot of stuff on like my mom is not the best person to be around. Sometimes she's not the best at talking to people, or she's pretty abrasive. Like I have a lot of her tendencies as well, but like she did impart a love for yourself, like not compromising, not um not letting somebody take you to the fool, or not take you for a ride. That's what I mean. Take advantage of you. Even when she did get, like, I'm not saying it didn't happen. Sometimes she's taken advantage of by dealing with that, but it happens to everybody. But as a parent, you supposed to be like, I did this, so you shouldn't have to do this. So I did this, so you do it. Doing the wrong thing for the right reason doesn't make it right. I mean, it doesn't make it right, but at some point you don't have a choice. So it's understandable, but it's not right. There's a difference. Um, my bad, I ran on for a while.
No, it's totally fine. It's good to always hear a different perspective, especially about such a sensitive topic. And like a lot of people don't get, and only so I could hear your perspective some more. Um, you know that plumbers and certain construction workers are frowned upon in society. Similar to
Why? They're needed. They're
they're
needed. Like
they're they're very,
why?
they're very
No,
needed.
but so are McDonald's workers. They're frowned upon in society, but like they're still working 9 to 5, making it. I don't knock anybody for like busting their ass and like working a respectable 9 to 5. I don't knock anybody. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. I don't knock them down. I don't look down on no one because at some point like they're needed. Like you need to like what if we went in there and there's no McDonald's workers? How are we gonna get a Big Mac? How are we gonna get a how Dave? Where's Dave had to give us our chicken nuggets? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I don't know.
I
Like,
mean, that people who are knocking them are like, they're the problem in society, kind of that, and that's why, uh, they're kind of people knocking them. They don't like, they don't understand that those people's janitors, those people, they're making money. Garbage men make really good money. Plumbers, if you're successful, you get your own. Like, if you're successful, like, you know what? My dad told me too. Like, I learned too a lot. Like, there's the things from parents. They told me like, if you have the clean toilets, if you clean toilets better than the like if you clean toilets to your best ability, you won't be cleaning toilets very long. You telling a person how to, you telling another person how to clean toilets, you be that person's boss eventually, or you be another person's boss telling them how to. Because good work speaks for itself, regardless of what you want to say. Good work, positive attitude speaks for itself. Again, you might have to do a shitty job, no pun intended, sometimes for time, but you don't have to do that very long if you do what you have to do. It may take years, it may take time, but eventually, like you'll find your way.
I don't. I hope so, but a lot of people don't see it that way. And in this current society, and this is something I personally have done. I walked around and I spoke to about 30 people, and I asked them if being a plumber is a respectable job. And out of
By the way, you got League of Legends in your podcast.
I'll adjust it over time. It doesn't right now. It doesn't matter. It's the content of what we're talking about. Um, for the most part, I asked 30 people if a plumber was a respectable job.
Yeah.
And out of the 30 people I asked, and this is from all sources of life, I asked approximately 8 Caucasians. I asked approximately 11 Hispanics, and the rest is like mixed between black, Indian, and other sorts. Short version is that approximately 21 of them was like, no, plumbers are not respectable at all, regardless if they're making their money. Their environment is literally playing with shit or playing around with utilities that are not known for being the cleanest. And it's kind of funny because if you look at it from this guy is working a 9 to 5, probably a little bit more. His job is not demeaning him because you need them, but society is saying that our moral code in society is saying that that's not a respectable job. Matter of fact, most trade jobs are not considered respectable. And I'm not saying that it isn't because I'm not an idiot. But for the most part, like every time that you hear somebody, it's like, oh, if they're not like, hey, I do construction, like what kind of construction? Well, I'm a roofer. Like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. But when you do to the nitty gritty type jobs, that's not. It's frowned upon. Like, oh, you could do better. Like, why would you choose that line of work? Like, don't you smell? Don't you like? And it's always like further questions of a demeaning nature because society, how they look at how they look at certain jobs and certain people in positions have changed over the years. Like no less than 20 years ago, if somebody was like, "Hey, yo, I'm a plumber," or "I'm some trade school specialist," they would be like, "Hey, that's fucking great. That's amazing." Now it's like if you're not going to college and you're not getting some big lawyer internship or you're a big banker or something like that, they don't consider you a respectable person. Like same when I was a couple years ago, I was a messenger. I used to go out and deliver packages as well as working in the mailroom, and like it was a job that I used to get crapped on all the time. It's like, hey, who the hell wants to work in a mailroom? I'm like, well, I have to work to support my family, and regardless that being the case, it's not good enough in society's eyes. So even though it makes sense that a person got to work whatever job they need to work so they could provide for them and their families, society's not always going to see it that way. So tying into your stripper comment, like I do believe that the mental trauma that a child would receive, and I'm saying child because most of them start young, even if it's like an interest. It's like, oh, maybe I can make some quick money by being a stripper or whatever the case is. But most of these children, they go through a point of desperation. I don't think that I don't think that it's a moment where they're thinking in clarity. When people are desperate, they tend to grab at straws really fast, and whatever is the best straw of the handful that they grab is what they choose. Especially, yeah, and not when there's like so many different kinds of straws out there. Yeah, like I hope you understand my analogy. I'm not, thinking it 100% through as we're talking. Short version, children are hard to raise because they're limited by their amount of opportunities. And I hate to make it like a, ethnicity type situation, but a black child, a Hispanic child, an Asian child can have the same talent as another group of people, but not have the same opportunities. And those opportunities will lead them either into a better life or a worse one, depending on their circumstances. Tying,
Right.
yeah, tying it back into parenthood, you can raise your child as best as you can. Eventually it's not just you. They're a product of their environment. So, like, say you and your wife raise both of your kids as best as you can. The things that they learn and see from outside the house also shapes them to be who they are. So, whatever choices that they tend to make um, outside of your eyes reach will cause them to pave a way for their own future, be it good or bad. So, I definitely have to say, like, it's hard being a dad. I'm not a father myself, but from the people I've have asked, they said that, regardless of whatever is going on, you have to be the foundation, the pillar of strength for everybody. Even if you're exhausted, even if you're personally mentally drained, you always have to keep up that facade of you being strong. Always providing for the family, always, I'll take care of it, dad. Like I can't fathom how um, you could do it personally. I know that you're always with your girls, especially when you're home, and like they definitely interact with you quite a bit. And like I know there's some times where you're just like you're feeling down and shit, and like your girls are in your face, and you're like, damn, I gotta put on this happy face.
Yeah, well, that's part of it.
I don't know. Doesn't it like scare you a little bit?
What?
That there's so many
It
no, not the kid, but there's so many factors you can't control, especially when you worry about your child's future.
shouldn't sound to worry about this. Of course, they are a shitty part of life, but that's for everybody. You can die going outside. You can die. You can die like doing a. You can die, or you can. Something can happen to you. Like if you live your life in fear, then you're not really living your life. You know, live every day last. Might give thanks and praise. That's you just gotta live, man. You gotta live and like, hope that you are there to protect them always. Times not, and that's fair. Everybody would. It's like it's so common that you just kind of like put it to the back on the back burner.
What's
So yeah, so yes, I do, but time I don't let it.
what yeah, like only because I'm looking forward to pretty much ending this pretty shortly. Like,
Yeah.
what's your goals for your kid, and what's your goals as
Uh,
like a dad in the long run?
my goals for my kids for them to be able to follow their dreams. So, go to college, man. You want the good things for them, but like they don't want to go to college, they want to go work. That's fine. Be an open parent, somebody they could come to talk to all the time. I mean, I don't know, someone who fosters them, someone who's like they're not afraid to tell something bad to. 'Cause I think that's the worst. It's another thing you feel like parent. You can't when they kids don't feel comfortable telling you for the repercussion. Be honest. But goal for myself as a parent is like better than the parents, better than my parents. I mean, I hope my kids do the same. So like, if you're at least halfway decent parent, eventually be a great parent. Parents weren't bad. I feel like I am doing a better job. I'm not knocking, but that's what every parent should do better than.
And like, I'm not even talking about the terms of being better than your parents, but do you think that you're a good dad?
I think I do. I think I do okay. I always get better. You don't know everything.
You definitely don't. And I think both of your kids are still very very young, right? Well, I have to say I have to thank you very much for doing this podcast with me. I greatly appreciate all the inputs that you've currently given, and I'm looking forward to doing another one probably about a different topic.
Yeah,
Uh,
no worries, man. Next time I'll make sure I'm not in the set in the beginning, because you kind of hit me up and I didn't want to be late.
yeah, I was like if you needed, well, we'll talk about the details afterwards. For those that watch the podcast all the way through, please like and subscribe down below. If you have any questions as well as any comments, period, feel free to leave them down below. You can also follow me at Rants Advice at twitch.tv. And you can definitely follow me on Facebook at Patrick Daly, and we can have a conversation from there. I'll also try my best to upload on time. I know the videos usually come out on Friday, but I got held up a little bit, and we will be fixing that in the future. I look forward to learning and growing with everybody, and most of all, having that conversation. So you guys have a blessed day, and we'll take care of this another time. Johnny,
All right, later, guys. Thanks for having me on. All right.
peace.